Good morning from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant, and we welcome you to Kentucky Newsmakers. Our guest for the full program today is the Governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Matt Bevin. It's been an interesting first half of 2017 for the governor and his team. Republicans hold control of the State House for the first time in nearly 100 years. How much difference did that make in this governor being able to pass items on his agenda? There have been several major business announcements in recent months. That includes an aluminum rolling mill, announcements by Toyota, Ford, and Amazon. At around $6 billion, the governor says Kentucky has surpassed its all-time record for annual business investments already this year. There are tremendous challenges remaining for this governor. Kentucky's drug addiction problem is deadly. More than 1,400 fatal overdoses last year. The state public pensions are far short of the money needed to pay out the benefits. And Governor Bevin has said the state will need more revenue to face up to that challenge. We welcome Governor Matt Bevin back to Kentucky Newsmakers. Thanks for coming, sir.
My pleasure.
Appreciate
Great to be with you.
Last time you were here, the Republicans had just won control of the State House of Representatives for the first time since 1921. You were full of optimism. Dozens of new laws were put in by the legislature, many of those taking effect this week, some ceremonial bill signings I know that you're doing. Are you pleased with the accomplishments of the legislature?
Very, very much. I'm so proud of our House and Senate and the work that they did. A lot of work went into flipping that House, as you noted, first time in nearly 100 years, since 1920, that the House was not controlled by Democrats. And again, even what a Democrat is has changed over that period of time, and it really comes down to conservative ideas versus liberal ideas more than it is party ideas. And the idea that conservatives now can be in charge of making policy is encouraging to folks like myself who are conservative, but the result of this change has been dramatic. The pieces of legislation that have been passed, from right to work to paycheck protection to repeal of the prevailing wage and the money that will save for the Commonwealth, to medical review panels, to criminal justice reform, to charter school bills, to fill in the blank. There are so many things being done that are transforming Kentucky, some of which will yet transform Kentucky. Seeds just now being put in the ground, but a lot of good things happening. I'm really excited and grateful to our House and Senate for the work that they did.
Do you think this changes the trajectory of the state in some ways?
No question. I mean, for the positive at every turn. And I would defy anybody, partisanship and grousing and begrudging of the change of power aside, I would challenge anyone to show where the state has not started to move in a more constructive direction. And I am to that end encouraged by, as you noted, the change even in our ability to attract business, because it's actually about $7 billion now. I mean, we've brought in nearly $7 billion in new capital investment in the first half of the year. The best previous year we ever had in history was $5.1 billion for a full calendar year. So the change is being noted by business around the country and around the world. It's being noticed by other governors and by people in Washington, and it's an encouragement to those of us in Kentucky.
What is driving that momentum as far as announcements of expansions or locations in the state?
Success breeds success. It just does. It always has. People everywhere are people who like to follow where things are working well. And people are looking at Kentucky and they are noting the fact that this is a state that is moving with a sense of purpose and the sense of energy, the passion. I think the fact that I'm a business person, that I have never had a political job prior to this one, and I bring that kind of business person's mindset when I sit down at the table. Amazon, you could bet every state in America wanted Amazon to build their world shipping hub in their state. And there were a lot of people competing for that. But we just out-hustled people. Abraham Lincoln once noted that good things may come to those who wait, but only the things left behind by those who hustle. And there's a lot of truth to that. And we have out-hustled other states in bringing business to Kentucky, and we're not done yet.
How competitive is the landscape out there when you go out and talk and try to get business to come here, and you've even made some international trips? Are there others nipping at your heels?
Absolutely. In fact, a good example of that is last week I was both in Washington speaking to a Select USA conference as on a panel with another governor where we were both making the case to a couple thousand assembled people as to why they should consider investing investing first in the U.S., but then specifically in our states. That's, of course, competitive, friendly competition, but competition nonetheless. And then additionally, I went to the Paris Air Show. There were 11 governors who made the trip over there, and we're all there for the exact same reason. And we're meeting with the CEOs and executives of every major aerospace and defense company in the world, and we're all competing with one another to try to get them to locate in our states.
It's like working in a realtor's office, isn't it? Well, you're kind of against the people around you.
You're friends, but it's a friendly rivalry. And believe me, again, if somebody like a Boeing or an Amazon or a Ford or whoever it happens to be goes to one place, they're not likely to go to 3 or 4 places at the same time. And so everybody wants the one place to be their particular state.
What are the key attributes that you talk about when you speak of someone locating or investing in Kentucky?
The things I've always mentioned that are true indeed are our geographic location, our logistical hubs of UPS and DHL and now Amazon, our capabilities in terms of infrastructure, roadways, riverways, railways that intersect through the state, the fact that we're in the middle of the most stable place left on earth in North America, the fact that we have a quality workforce and a tremendous quality of life, the cheapest energy rates east of the Mississippi. These are the types of things I've always discussed. On top of that, something that is, I think, evident to people by the kind of success we're having is just the energy and the momentum. Kentucky is a catchy place. When I had the CEO of a company I won't name because I'm working to make sure they come here, but a very significant global company, one of the largest companies in the world, say at the Paris Air Show that this is the state and you're the governor that I've been looking forward to meeting with, that's a tremendous compliment. It's not me, trust me. It's Kentucky. It's the things that we're doing. It's the things that are the buzz that's been created. The fact that we've been invited as often as we have to the White House, that the president and vice president have been in Kentucky as often as they have, as much in Kentucky as any state they've been in since they were elected. All of that is a compliment to the type of things that are happening and the sense of urgency that our legislature and administration are putting forward.
Do you have lingering concerns, Governor, about the workforce of Kentucky, about people being trained and ready to take the jobs that might be available? If someone might like the real estate deal, they might like the tax incentives, they might see opportunity here, but if they can't get the employment, they have an issue.
I'll answer that in a second, but I want to make clear to your viewers, because it's something we make clear to companies when we talk to them, including one I met with yesterday on a potential $300 million deal. We don't make deals on the barrelhead. We don't put things on the barrelhead. We will reward people if they make the decision that we're the right place and they will invest. We may give them a tax incentive associated with a rebate of payroll tax over 10 or 15 years. But that's only a small portion of a dollar that they've already spent that they get to get back. The idea that you buy business, that's bad business. And not all business is good business. I would rather people choose us for the right reasons. To your question about workforce, it's not just lingering. It is ongoing, and it is for Kentucky and every other state. Workforce, the caliber of workforce, the quality of workforce, the depth of one's workforce is the biggest challenge on every governor's plate in America. And this is why we've done 4 things specifically in Kentucky to be ahead of others on this front. Dual credit. That's been a raging success. It was up 74% just in this first year over what had existed, over this last year over what had existed. It's ramping up. So high school students being able to take post-high school courses while also in high school. That's one thing. Number 2, the ability to take this $100 million in workforce investment money and allow communities with the local high school, the local post-secondary school, and the local business community working with each other, talking with each other, saying, hey, we'll put forward the following amount of money and the following ideas and the following commitment from ourselves in exchange for some of that money. We have had that $100 million more than matched. So hundreds of millions, and some people who got no match from the state are coming in with doing their own plan because they like it so much. Hundreds of millions of dollars invested in training programs, workforce development. We have an apprenticeship program that I would say is as good as anywhere in the country, and yet still is at its infancy in terms of its ability to grow. Secretary Ramsey in Labor, Secretary Heiner in Workforce Development and Education are championing that, and it's been taking off. These are just some of the things that we are doing. The last thing is the fact that in 5 key areas, we are making people whole if they don't have an associate's degree to this point in their lives. And they don't have to be 18 or 20. They could be 35 or 40. and say, I want to go back and get a new career, if they're willing to study, it's 5 key areas, things like logistics, things like advanced manufacturing, things like the medical tech field, things like computer-related tech positions. We will come alongside, we the state, and make sure they are whole in terms of the cost of attaining a 2-year certification or degree that will qualify them immediately for a job that is right now unfilled in Kentucky. And these are things that are happening even now.
With Governor Matt Bevin, the questions get tougher. We're going to talk about what you have planned later in the year, potentially with a special session. We'll be back with the Governor of the Commonwealth, Matt Bevin, on Kentucky Newsmakers in a moment.